Everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. We're going to show some mad love to the rhythm section today. I'm with just an incredible drummer. I'm with Nir Z. I had the pleasure, out of Nashville, I had the pleasure of seeing Nir play with Larry Mitchell, I don't know, like 6 months ago. Oh my God. When I saw him play, I was like, I've got to get that guy on my show. And then I want to give a shout out to Mark Hill, our mutual friend, who was kind enough to refer Nir to me when he said, "Hey, do you know Nir Z?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I know that guy, man. Give me his contact info right away." He's a bad, bad man. Incredible drummer, man. And let's get started. Another quick announcement. Just make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com/subscribe and subscribe to the audio and video components of the show. Let me tell you about Nir Z. Studio session drummer. He's played the drums for 8 songs on Genesis' 1997 album, Calling All Stations, and he subsequently joined the band for their 1998 tour. He's a very busy session cat, by the way. In 2001, he drummed on John Mayer's breakthrough album, Room for Squares. In 2006, he recorded with Flaw on their Endangered Species record and with Chris Cornell on his second solo album, Carry On, which was, man, that was a hell of a record. He also played on several songs of the comeback album Skyscraper for the former Journey singer Steve O'Jerry's original band, Tall Stories. And he toured with Billy Squier in 2009. Is that how you met Larry, or did you know Larry from back in New York?
No, I knew Larry from back in New York. I actually did 2 tours with Billy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The first tour was, man, I'm trying to remember what year. 2009 was the second tour. I think the previous was maybe sometime around 2004, something like that.
Very cool. Is he in Long Island, Billy's?
He's in New York. I think he spends most of his time now in Long Island, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, I thought so.
He lives in Manhattan, right off Central Park for many, many years.
God, that ain't a bad place to live, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I love Billy, even though that's a funny, I don't know if I told you the way I've met Billy.
No, tell me.
That's it, because you mentioned like embarrassing moments in your career. We were down, you're gonna love this one, because we were down in a studio, I think it was the Lower East Side, Ludlow Street.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the name of the studio. Great studio. Anyhow, cutting a record over there, a producer from Philadelphia. I think he was in Philadelphia, Jared Cutler. Anyway, we're doing rhythm section, myself and my buddy, great bass player, by the way, Jack Daly.
Oh, from
Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz, yeah.
Yes. And Jack and I, it's history by itself. And we noticed that we were about to walk into the live room and played a song, cut a song. I noticed that this guy two guys walked into the control room. Friends of the producer just came to say, hey. Didn't pay much attention. We went to our instruments. We had this great moment. We laid down the song, walked back into the control room, listening to the recording. And this guy approached me. One of those guys approached me. He came up. He said, hey, man, I really enjoy your drumming. And I shook his hand. I said, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Are you a musician? He goes, yes, I'm a singer, a guitar player. My name is Billy Squier. And I said, oh, cool, nice to meet you. And I left the room. I just didn't put it together. I was so in a very naive way, because everybody witnessed that. I kind of didn't put it together. He had this short hair,
right.
It just was, and only I walked out. And 2 minutes later, he hit me. I'm like, holy shit. Long story short, 6 months later or something, phone rang. He called me. And he was joking about it. He was like, hey, remember me, Billy Squier? singer, guitar player? I said, yeah, we were laughing. Goes, and that's it. He said, would you go on the road with me?
That's cool, man.
You know, and we went out. We ended up going out. It was a great summer tour. Billy Squier, Bad Company,
Oh, wow.
and Styx.
Holy shit, that's an amazing
Yeah,
tour.
it was an interesting tour. Was great. It was a lot of fun. You know. Yeah, so that was the first tour with Billy.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Let me read the rest of your background. Nir is originally from Israel, lives in Nashville. He's one of the top session drummers in town. He's played on records. He's got a long list here. This is very abbreviated. Florida Georgia Line, Michael Ray, Blake Shelton, Lee Bryce, Trace Adkins, Kelsey Ballerini, Jake Owen, John Oates, Jason Mraz, Love and Theft, The Judds, Joss Stone, and many others. And he won the 2018 and 2019 Music Row Drummer of the Year award. So Music Row is in Nashville, and that's basically the award that goes to the drummer that's played on the most #1 records for that year. So Nir got the award in 2018 and 2019. Congratulations on that, man. That's very cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So
it doesn't guarantee anything, but
yeah, that and 275 will get you on the D train.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So how did you first get started in the music business? Like, what was your first break?
First break was, are you talking where? I mean, I look at it.
Go back from Israel, man.
Three chapters, you know, it's like 3 lifetimes, 3 different careers. So
yeah.
Back in Israel, I started, you know, I was like many others. I was this fanatic teenager who just wanted to play all day long. And, you know, just play everywhere. And I was very lucky that in a very early stage, there was an artist over there that he was literally the boss, you know, he was the guy who, you know, like every country, every city, you have like the top 15, 20 guys who do everything. And right at the end of my service, you know, because over there in Israel, you have to serve in the army, which was not that's not what I wanted to do.
Let me tell you, man, I don't think people are aware that that is intense.
It's very intense.
And it's men and women.
Men and women.
Yeah,
yes. Men and women. And it's a big conflict for, you know, it's a very, I'm sure most people would know, it's such a case sensitive, I call it. You know, the whole story about Israel, it's always been, you know, very complex.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, there is the law. I mean, every person need to serve. And when you're 18 years old, you think you're a big shot, you think you're a big man, and all you want to do is play music. And all of a sudden, you need to wear those uniforms, and you become the property of the country. You know, it's a shocking experience.
Yeah,
you know? It's definitely not something that you see in many places around the world.
No,
but
and it's one thing I've noticed is a lot of time when I was a kid, obviously growing up in New York, tons of Israelis, tons of everybody.
Yes, of course.
Some of the women are rough, and that's when I learned about it. And they said, "Hey, man, they're rough because they had to go serve in the service." I'm like, and this is a young kid. I learned, like, what do you mean they had to serve? And everybody's got to go serve in the military. They're like, holy shit! No wonder you got to be. You can't get through. You get that. You're going to grow a thick skin doing that, whether you had one or not.
Oh yeah, you have to. I mean, I think the reality over there, living life, you know, it's a wonderful country, beautiful country, very up-to-date country.
Yeah.
But you know, there's this big cloud always above, you know, security, which is, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And, you know, in my case, I had to serve to be honest with you, I wasn't the easiest guy at the time. I was pretty much a troublemaker, just a troublemaker because I wanted to play music.
Yeah, sure.
And most of it, I had enough freedom to have extra time, you know, and play music. And along with that, I can't even remember how it started, to be honest with you, but this guy was really the guy over there, you know, one of the biggest artists. Was just looking for new blood, new, you know, musicians, and I got the gig.
Nice.
You know, and I was a kid. I was like what, 19 and a change, you know.
So this is while you were in the service.
That's when I'm in the service, yes. And we manage, and long story short, I all of a sudden, from playing in clubs and just, you know, play around town, like we say, I got that one of the biggest gigs you can get at the time. And therefore, you know, more people start calling you, you start playing on records, and everything happened very fast, very fast. In about 4 years, that was a very intense 4 years, playing a lot of shows all over the country, recording a lot of albums. But you know, New York City was on my radar all the time.
Why was that?
A teenager. I don't know. It just always felt connect. I think it's an energy thing. I think it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
You know, you are New Yorker. And you get it. I mean, it's kind of weird because, man, what another very, you know, complex place, New York City.
Very much.
Know? It's like, especially, why would you move from Israel to New York City? I guess I'm attracted to the challenge.
Yeah.
You know?
But you're a high energy guy, man. I mean, just watch you play. That was the first thing. In fact, this morning I was thinking about something. Man, I'm really looking forward to talking to you. The first thing that came to the reason, first attraction was you're a high energy person. I like that because when you're high energy, man, you give that energy off, right? And it's a great.
I hope so. You're trying to, you know.
Well, you do,
I
man.
think it really comes from. It really comes from the heart, man. I mean, I find myself, you know, and we'll get to that. I'll give you an example. You know, when I moved to New York, and we'll go back to it. I remember a comment. One of the greatest drummers. I mean, you know, Joe Franco.
I don't. I never heard that name. Oddly enough. Who?
Oh, 80s, big time rock drummer. And he actually saw me probably my very first gig in New York City.
Where was that?
Literally, it was at the bitter end.
Oh, man, what a cool place.
Oh, yeah. Kenny, rest in peace. Yeah.
Yep.
And he invited me to his studio, and we were hanging out, and he had a comment. He said, you know, I watched you play, and I really enjoy you guys. He goes, but he said to me, you did not use any of the stuff that I see you play right now. You know, we were jamming and I said, man, because I didn't feel this way. I didn't feel like it, you know. That's what I felt like that night, you know. I just played what I felt like, you know. And it was a very interesting comment, and he got it, you know, he understood, you know. And it's all coming from, man, you know, when you know how many times you meet someone and see you later, and some people, you know, keep it real, man. You know? it's yeah, keep it real. Keep it real.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, because the real is much more, it's so much stronger than my mind.
Yeah.
It's, okay.
Totally.
That what leads me, for good and bad. I mean, for you kids out there, it's not always, you know, it's a choice you make. Yeah. You know, now I know better. it's a fine balance, you know, between your heart and your mind, especially in our business,
Yes.
related to the way you play and related to the way you interact with people and you respond to people, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the benefits of aging a little bit is you come to some sort of rational grip with yourself that just because you're not being 100% open and sharing everything going through your head, it's still okay. Like you get to give yourself a pass because you can't say
So
everything going through your mind. You could balance that because it's just too much sometimes, and nobody
you can, but
right.
I have.
But you have consequences.
Oh yeah,
Right. Yeah.
100%. And it doesn't, and it takes a long time. It takes a long time to learn that it really doesn't matter if you're right or you're wrong.
Yeah.
You
Totally.
know, and again, especially in our business, you know, it's like, you know, I had a conversation with Mark not long ago, our friend Mark Hill, which
Yeah.
I love this man, as a musician, he's just incredible.
Really great
And
guy.
we both agreed that here we are, we're not 22 anymore, but we both said that we're still trying to be more passive, you know, in some situations, you
Yeah.
know, in
Totally.
and that's a talent by itself,
Yeah.
you know, because it's like control your own feelings, control your beliefs, if you like, you
Yes.
know. It's like, I know this is right, I believe that this is the way, but no, you gotta bury it, and you gotta just,
Mm.
let's call it, be passive or play the game, you
Yeah.
know.
Which is tough. It
It
is if you
is.
have that kind of. I always remember my wife saying to me, "Craig, why did you say this to this person?" I said, "Well, because they asked me a question." So she goes, and I was just being honest. She goes, "Don't be honest."
Oh, believe me, you know, I just did, and I know we're going back and forth, and we'll get into that.
No, it's cool.
About a year ago, I got a call from my friend Jack Daly, actually,
Oh, cool. That's funny.
and he called me and he said, you know, because I know he's been touring for like, I don't know, maybe 3 4 years on and off with little
Mm.
Steven Van Zant.
Yeah.
And when they came to Nashville, I went to see them, and I gotta tell you, but I mean, I thought that I would be going for like 15 minutes just to say hi to Jack, because I
Yeah.
was so tired. I was in the studio all day, and man, I did not move from my seat. I stayed for the entire show. It was so good.
Wow.
So good. I mean, an incredible 15-piece band on stage. Um, a journey all the way from Motown music up to his latest stuff with Springsteen. Um, Long story short, Jack called me. Would you go on the road with us? Would you play with us? We need someone to sit in for 5 6 weeks. And I said, yeah, of course I will,
Yeah.
because how many opportunities you get to play this kind of music again, you know?
Right.
And the reason I mentioned that, if we're talking about somebody that is so honest and so not politically correct, it's Steven Van Zandt.
Yes. Yeah. He speaks his mind, does his thing.
I admire the person, you know, not, I mean, as a musician, by the way, he's a genius. I didn't realize until I got to work with him, you know. I mean, these guys, I mean, he is a genius. And I guess going back to New York, because to me it was going back to New York, the old New
Yeah.
Yorkers, you know. I mean, if anyone represent New York, I mean, Steven is definitely one of
Yeah.
those guys. Man, and he felt home. I felt so comfortable. I felt back at home because I lived in New York for what, 18 years, you know, almost 19 years. So related to how we deal with the business on a daily basis. And no, it's very rare having the opportunity to work with those kind of guys who
Yeah.
everything is out there. Definitely now when I'm in Nashville, which you need to, it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different game, you know. What we said, oh, how we got to New York. So yeah, are we going back to New York? No, we
Dude,
jumped
whatever. It's
all
all
over.
good, man. It was, so you just always wanted to move. So what did you do? You just like, did you know anybody there? You just picked up and moved, and like, what the hell?
Well, I met this one guy.
Did you have a big family at home that you left?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. That's tough.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. I always say, you know, you can do a move like that, you can do it once in your lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
yeah, when you're like 24 and 24 and a little whatever it is, you know, I had a girlfriend at the time and we moved to New York, you know, and
Oh, with your girlfriend? It was you and your
with my
girlfriend?
girlfriend.
Wow.
Yeah, a girlfriend from Israel at the time, and she was young and she wants to, you know, explore and so really what we had, which did help, I gotta be honest. I mean, her sister and her husband, they lived in Manhattan at the time.
Oh my God. Thank goodness. Yeah. You'd be tough.
Yeah, so you know they were there, but that's it. And I knew this guy that we remain friends to this day, dear friend of mine, Stephen Wolf.
No, don't know.
Steve Wolf, incredible drummer. And I've met Steven back in Israel a few months before I moved, really. He was playing in Israel, and we talked about it. We said, you know, when you come to New York, give me a call. And when I moved there, he knew about this band. Um, they were looking for a drummer, you know, and so it was kind of the right time, right place, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The name of the band was the Hidden Persuaders.
Yeah. Why do I know that?
You know, probably because we created a lot of buzz at the time, and this band later on became Splendor.
The Hidden Persuaders. There was a book called The Hidden Persuaders as well. It was a
Yeah,
marketing
yeah,
book by a guy named
yeah,
Van something. I can't. Yeah, that's
yeah,
also I know it. Yep.
yeah.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, so long story short, I joined this band, and right away we start, and we talk in the early 90s.
Right.
All the clubs were kicking, all the clubs were up and running, you know, CBGB, Wetlands, name it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of music, a lot of record companies, a lot of A&R guys walking around town looking to sign the next band. And we were one of those bands who just made a name for ourselves in town, you know, and one of these bands that for like, God, what, like 4 years, 3.5 years, almost getting the record deal. You know, it
Yeah.
was one of those almost there, almost there. We got a publishing deal
Okay.
with a company called Hit and Run Music, owned by Tony Smith, which is the manager for Genesis.
Okay. Oh, that's the Genesis connection for you.
Now you get the connection.
Oh my God. So you really had some very serendipitous encounters organically.
Yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. What happened that we played all over town. We played a lot of shows. What happened along with those shows with the Hidden Persuaders, you know, more musicians got to see me play, and I got to meet more musicians. And I start playing, you know, on sessions, and basically my network start to expand. You know,
Right.
and then one day, I mean, one of those shows, Tony Smith came from England to see us play. And that's it. When the guys from Genesis were looking for a drummer, you know, Eve said to them, you know, I saw this guy in New York, and I think you guys should check him out. And I think he gave we made few EPs at the time, you know, with the band. So
Right.
he gave it to Mike Rutherford, he gave it to Tony Banks, and it was really weird, you know, because I was in New York really for less than 5 years, and then I'm getting a call to you're going to England to audition for Genesis.
That's
I
pretty
literally
cool.
I thought it was a joke, to be honest with you. I didn't.
Why
did
were
not,
they needing a drummer? What happened on their end?
because what happened
Was
at
Chester
that
Thompson with
time?
them, or?
No, what happened at that time? I think that Mr. Collins wanted to continue his solo career. I think,
Okay, that's yeah.
and I think that what happened that Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks really wanted to continue Genesis.
Yes, because I had Daryl on the show, and that he said he would tell me. Daryl Sturmer was telling me the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think also that what Tony and Mike wanted to do, because Mike had, you know, he always did Mike and the Mechanics. And Tony musically was more in the progressive side of it, you know. He somewhere wanted to do more of like bring the old flavors of Genesis, you know, to the modern world and the commercial scene a little bit. And they decide they're going to continue, and they're going to get new guys to come in, and so it was weird because they brought an Israeli guy in, and they brought this guy named Ray Wilson. There was a band named Stillskin. Do you remember that band?
No, but that Ray Wilson guy sounds familiar.
Ray Wilson, I mean, honest to God, if you can combine Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins into one voice, it's really Ray Wilson.
That's pretty cool.
And I think when Rutherford and Banks, they find Ray, for them it was, okay, that's a sign that we need to continue because this is the guy, you know. And here we are in Surrey, England. You know, I find myself in Genesis studio, spending days over days, you know, weeks, you know, sleeping there, recording with the guys. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
Any funny stories from that recording session?
Yeah, there is plenty of funny stories, you know. Again, you know, I was very active in New York at the time, and you know, the American culture in New York takes over you pretty quickly.
Oh, and you went with a bunch of older cats. Well, not older, but they're probably really more British, very reserved
British,
and very
British,
stoic.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so you were probably British, like overwhelming them.
Oh yeah, I mean it was, and the first thing that Tony Banks said to me. He said to me, we were sitting in the studio, he looked at me and he goes, I hope I can quote exactly, but it sounded like, you know, I know that you've been very busy and active in America. You know, they always call it America.
Right. My wife's from England, so I know exactly what
so you know what I'm talking
right.
about.
It's always America, right.
And he said to me, I know that over there, if you'll be sitting behind the drums and you play something really good, everybody usually jumping up and down and tell you how great it was and all that stuff. So over here, if you played something and we tell you, this was good, we mean it. It was good. That's it.
But they're not going to get anybody. Yeah, they're a little more stoic. Yeah.
Yes. So.
Yeah, they're a little more stoic, very much more reserved. Exactly. Yeah, they're less emotional. Yeah.
And but you know, it took me some time, but once I start to understand the sense of humor and the dry, you know, the dry sense of humor, I really enjoy that. Yeah, we had some funny moments. I mean, I remember, you know, we talked about earlier how to be kind of outspoken and just express yourself as you feel, right?
Yeah.
I remember that, believe it or not, here they are, they sitting behind the glass. I'm playing, I'm tracking a song. And I noticed that there is a solo in the song. And I hear this instrument, I'll try to describe it. To me, to my ears, it wasn't a pleasant sounding instrument.
Right.
It sounded like a fake, like one of those Casio fake.
Yeah, little keyboards or something.
Like a keyboard trumpet / saxophone or something that like, you know. So in a very naive way, you know, I lay down one take and I pressed the talk back. And this is Mike Rutherford and band sitting there and Nick Davis, the producer. And I asked, by the way, guys, what will be the instrument that will play this solo actually at the end of, you know? And I noticed that right away, Mike Rutherford started laughing and Tony Banks get this serious face and he pressed the talkback. He goes, what do you mean, what is the final instrument? This is the instrument, you know? So I think he was offended a little bit, you know.
Oh, you thought that was like doing a fill-in for what would ultimately take the place. Yeah.
That's what I thought. This is kind of scratch idea, you know.
Yeah, that's great,
Is it going
man.
to be a real, like somebody like a real
Like
player going to play it, or it's going to be a guitar or something?
Yeah,
you know?
that's funny, man. That's classic. That's
but
great.
I think we all learn, you know, this is who the person is, and he's honest, and you know,
Yeah.
and it was funny. We just, you know, it was a good laugh.
Yeah, that is funny, man.
You know?
That's a good story. What? How did you work with Chris Cornell? That second record, I mean, that was just great. I mean, it was a beautiful record, man.
You know, Chris Cornell, rest in peace, man. It's I was driving. You know, this is a beautiful one because it's always happened, by the way, and this is some just to give hope to all my musicians friends, because I got to share with you that when the Genesis gig came in, the call came in, I was not in a great place. I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. She went back to Israel.
Oh, wow.
It was gray, New York. Everything was so freaking gray, you know. It was a time that I had no idea, you know, we were trying to get signed with the band and it didn't happen. But there is always hope.
Yeah, man.
You know, I was pretty low, man. It was tough few months before this call came in, to be honest with you, because I wasn't sure.
Where were you living
What's
at the
next?
time?
I was living, you're gonna laugh. You know what was my address?
Huh.
I just moved to an address, 666 6th Avenue.
That's pretty funny.
Do you know where? Next door to the Limelight. Remember the Limelight?
Oh, yeah, downtown on like
not Limelight.
14th.
No, 20th and 6th, 20th Street.
The church. The club.
Church.
Yeah,
the club.
right. That, you know, have you been there lately? It's like a mall or something.
I've seen it. I was walking by.
It's weird.
Yeah, New York is a whole different place now. Yeah,
it's weird.
So different.
So 666 was on 23rd Street. Yeah, I know exactly. That's right across from Madison Square Park, I think, right?
Yeah.
And
I had to repeat I remember when I had to
666 6th
away.
Avenue. That's funny.
People used to get annoyed. Come on, man, give me your real address. I'm like, dude, this is my address. 666 6th Avenue.
Yeah. That's a busy area, man.
Very busy area, but it was great because I had
great location, man.
A great location, and I had a very a section over there was like a big loft. I could actually play my drums there. You know,
in your place.
Drums. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So that was a pretty But anyhow, later on we asked about Chris Cornell, and I cannot remember why I was driving. I was driving to Boston or something.
You had a car?
Raining.
You had a car?
I was a rental car. My
Oh.
father was there
Oh, that's nice.
for a little bit, and I drove to visit him. Crazy. I remember, man, raining, and you know how it is. I mean,
Yeah,
New
it's gross.
York,
Yeah.
it's always like
Stressful.
waves.
Yeah.
You have days that like, man, I live in the greatest place on the planet, and days that like, why
Yeah.
is it I'm here? What for? And the phone rang, and that was Mr. Steve Lillywhite, the
The
producer.
producer. Yeah.
And he has this energy, this guy, man, has this voice, you know. It kind of, as soon as you start talking with him, it just kind of, you're being cheered up right away. He had this,
Oh,
like,
that's
just,
cool.
you know, and I was so happy to that he called me and like, what is that all about? And he goes, you know, I'm about to produce a record on Chris Cornell, and I would like to know if you would play on it. You're interested? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. Here we are. A few weeks later, we in NRG. We did it in LA, NRG Studios.
How did he hear of you? I mean, that's pretty cool.
He heard me, man. I'm trying to remember. Can't remember what records, because I did. You know, again, let's go back for a second, and we'll get to there. When you mentioned earlier John Mayer record, Room
Yeah.
for Squares. No doubt, what a successful record, which
Yeah.
I'm very proud of. But man, many times you gotta be lucky to play on a successful record.
Yeah.
I say it in a very humble way. I believe that I played on some awesome records that I will be proud to play it to people. But the records didn't make it
Yes.
and didn't break through, like, you know, to the majority of, you know, the music scene, so you can be heard. And this is not up to you, really, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that in Steve Lillywhite case, I think he did a bit more. He did a bit more, you know, research. I played on other records in New York City that kind of stayed local, but people knew about them. People heard them. They give you an example. A wonderful artist by the name of Alana Davis. Wonderful. I mean, she is one of the best. You know, if I had to choose like top three artists I enjoy working with and play their music, she would be one of them. You know,
Alana Davis.
Alana Davis. You know, for a matter of fact, believe it or not, when I worked with John Mayer on Room for Squares, he had a record on his laptop at the time
That you had played on.
that I had played on. You know, that we played. I mean, that was my beginning in New York.
Wow.
But I think that probably Steve Lillywhite did more for research, and also was recommended by a mutual friend of ours, a guy named Pete Robinson. He was the head of A&R for Epic Records at the time.
Okay.
And that's how he got to me, you know. And we went to LA. They put this really cool band together. Chris was just unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if you ever met the guy,
No, I didn't.
but the persona that you could not avoid. I mean, I literally remember when he walked into the studio the first time, it was like, oh my God. He had this aura, he had this thing, you know. A part of the fact, you know, he was such an handsome, you know,
Yeah.
guy, but he had this just energy, you know. And oh my God, here I am, I'm playing drums, and Chris is 10 feet away from me singing his ass off, you know, and the rest is history, you know.
Yeah.
if it was up to me, I wouldn't care. This record will last for all year, you know.
Yeah, that much fun making it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. How often you get to play with a voice like Chris Cornell?
No, incredible. Very talented
You
guy.
know. And
who is the guitar player on the sessions you were there?
there was trying to not okay, let me think. There was me playing, and Mosley played on bass. Man, I need to look. What's his name? Oh shoot, the guitar player who played on wow, I'm sorry, I'm blacked out.
No, it's cool.
He
It's
played
a
on
while ago, and it's a million sessions since
it's a long time ago. Yeah. Come on, he played on Jeff Buckley stuff. What's his name?
Here, I go to allmusic.com and look it up.
Yeah, look at the credits there.
Carry on. Here you go. Credits. Chris Cornell. Come on. Credits. Here goes. Dimitri Coates.
Dimitri, yeah.
Gary Lucas, Cameron
Gary
Grider,
Lucas.
and
Yeah.
Brian Ray. Brian Ray from plays with McCartney, I think now. So he plays behind I can't think of McCartney's main guitarist. Anyway, I can't think of his name.
I think this guy Dimitri was mostly on session. Some of those guys did overdubs later,
Okay.
I believe. We did this record over, I believe, like 3 different trips.
And you play drums on the whole record.
I believe so, yeah. I don't know, yeah.
I mean, there's no other drummers. You're the only one.
No, it's here. I play drums and percussion, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And that was always, you know, it was an experience for a lifetime, because at that time, thank God I got rid of it. I used to be a cigarette smoker.
Oh, okay.
Know? And I think the only 2 guys who were cigarette smokers were just Chris and myself.
Interesting. So you probably got to hang out with Chris smoking a lot of cigarettes at break time.
We had a lot of, we have many hours together smoking cigarettes and talking about life. Just great connection. You know, we were talking about the possibility me going on the road after he did this record. That was a business decision, to be honest with you.
Sure.
That I didn't end up doing it and all that kind of stuff, but you know, we remain in touch here and there, email here and there, and it was just amazing. I mean, I consider myself that I had the opportunity, and I was lucky to play with one of the most incredible talents of our century, 100%. I think he was, and I was heartbroken like many others.
Yeah. But you played with some incredibly talented people, man.
Thank you, man. I guess I was lucky. I don't know. Sometimes I'm trying not to analyze it too much because it feels weird, you know, because growing up in Israel, you know, everything seems to be so far away, you know.
Well, it was.
It wasn't even. It was. And we talking, this is before, you know, don't forget, that's before social media. This is before all that kind of stuff. You really you had to go out there and play.
Yeah.
You know, you need to go out there and play. It was the time in New York that, you know, man, there was music 24/7.
Yeah.
We used to go out and jam, and it wasn't just putting a clip on social media and here I am playing a song, you know.
Yeah, it's actually
playing gigs. It's like what you saw us do with Larry.
Yeah,
you know,
that's great.
You cannot beat it. You know, this is like, it's the sweat, it's the energy.
Yeah.
It's this time, this place, you know, those people, you know, this weather, the world as it is now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't
And that's
virtual.
and that's a big difference.
Mm.
Big difference.
Did you know a guy named Eddie Martinez?
Of course.
I'm buddies with
Chocolate.
Eddie. He's a
Oh,
friend of mine.
wonderful.
Great guy, isn't he?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
He lives in
Incredible.
Portland now.
Is he in
Yeah.
Portland?
Real sweet guy. And another guy, did you know Ronnie Drayton?
Ronnie Drayton. Yeah. Like why I'm
Guitar player. Lefty.
Yes.
Man,
yes.
he just passed away last week.
Yeah, Ronnie. Dude.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yes, of course. I'm sorry, I was mixing with someone else.
No, it's cool. Yeah, he's a young guy. He's like, you know, probably in his early to mid 50s.
Yeah. We lost too many people over the years.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember, I mean, the great Iron Bullock.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Gordon Moore. Hey, Gordon Gaines.
Who did he play with?
Gordon used to play his own thing at the bitter end every Monday night. He was just, unreal.
You know, it's funny, man. You walk down Bleecker Street now. It's like, it's like
just a tourist. It's just like whatever.
That used to be my favorite street in the city. Now you walk down there, it's like kind of weird, disappointing. You know, all the little stores are gone, and you know, Pizza Box.
I don't know where do you get to hear live music in New York anymore?
There's a couple of clubs down there, I think. You know, like there's some jazz clubs, 55 Club and 55 Bar, and but Vanguard's still around, I think. Bitter End is, I think, still there. Bottom Line is gone a long time already, but it's not. You know, it's just not as many.
Isn't it amazing? I ask you which places, and you just kind of mentioned 4 of them.
Yeah. And they've been around forever.
And we're talking about times where literally just on Bleecker Street, you could walk into like 15 different gigs at the same time.
Absolutely.
On one street.
On the east side of 6th Avenue. On the east side of 6th Avenue. Then not to mention you go on the west side of 6th Avenue. Right.
Amazing. Isn't it? Amazing.
Yeah. It's totally different.
Real estate.
That being said,
and building. Yeah.
I know. But that being said, you still don't have the energy of that. We're going up in like a few months. I just love the energy, man. It's like, it's addictive, man.
It is addictive. And it's either you feel home or you don't. There is no like in between, you know. And it is still, there is, you know, as soon as I arrived in New York, it's home. Yeah. Even if you hate, like you get in LaGuardia, it's like a shithole. It's gross, but you just feel like it's like, okay, now you kind of ramp up. Takes a minute or two, and then you're boom right in, going out and getting a cab or Uber, whatever the hell. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I know it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't
make sense, but it's a fact.
Yeah,
it's a fact. You know.
Then how did you move to, like, what made you move to Nashville then? Because that had to be a tough move.
This was actually. You know, I mean, related to everything we talked about New York, you know, over time, here we are in New York. In this point, after I got married in early 2000.
Is your wife from New York?
No, we've met in New York, but she's from Israel.
Oh my God, go for that's so like that's so like normal though.
It's but,
you immigrate to New York, Israel, Korea, wherever, and you always wind up falling with somebody from where you came from. It's really funny, man.
But she was just happened to be there. She had no intention.
Really?
To New York. Oh yeah, it was just.
And she was smitten with you, huh?
And it was the wrong time for me, the wrong everything. We've met when I was about to go on tour with Genesis. So this, to me, it was, you know, relationship and commitment and stuff like that, especially. But man, here we are.
That's wild,
20
man.
years, Later, married, 2 kids.
Right on, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, thanks to her, we made. It's like,
isn't that always the way?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
So over the years, you know, we moved to Brooklyn in one point. I moved to Park Slope area, Park Slope in Brooklyn, and
Was that
you
different?
remember.
Was that different moving to Brooklyn out of Manhattan?
Yes, it was. It was because, especially Manhattan at the time, but it started getting uncomfortable. You know, it's getting more expensive and more expensive, and you know the deal.
It's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, and then Brooklyn still was kind of, especially Park Slope was, but man, I did it like on the right time, you know, because like 2-3 years later, Park Slope becoming, I mean, you walk on the street, you see movie stars.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Not that I care, but it's a sign that, oh my God, this place is going to, you know. And as we all know, it became, I don't think it matters now. You live in Manhattan or you live in Park Slope. It's just as expensive.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Or Williamsburg or whatever. So that's it. We moved to Brooklyn, and I had this really cool, funky studio over there. We had our first child, and then we start to realize that, you know, it's getting expensive. Recording studios are closing down. Less places to play live shows, and you know, the same old stuff we talked about.
Well, plus it's not a play. It's different to move there as an adult. Raising a kid there is tough.
Oh, it was definitely.
It's not an environment where you want to raise a kid, unfortunately.
No, no, unless you can afford it.
Right.
Unless you can afford it. And I was very realistic, you know. In one point, I woke up one day and I'm like, okay, what is the next place? Because here I am, I'm working my ass off. I'm playing. Okay. I got my apartment, thank God, because I bought it in the right time. But
good for you.
Just one of those, you know, you're in an 800 square foot apartment with one child already.
You're never leaving either, because to buy the next one up.
How can you afford the next one up?
Yeah, right.
It seems like completely impossible. So I would say 15 years ago or something, I got a phone call from Nashville. You asked me about Nashville.
Yeah.
16 years, something like that. Nashville was not on my radar at all. I knew nothing about Nashville, nothing about country music. And I'm getting a phone call from two producers, Wally Wilson and Paul Woolley. Paul Woolley was the one who produced all the Lady A stuff and all.
He's a pretty. I've heard his name several times. He's a really big producer. Yeah,
big producer. He and his partner Wally Wilson, and they called me and asked me if I would come down to play on a record for a new artist on Warner Brothers. And I said, yes, that would be interesting, you know. And I guess what led them to do that, they heard my work, of course, on Room for Squares.
Oh, so that's the other good thing. You've played on records that were so big, they continued to open doors for you, which is a blessing, man. Yeah.
It's a blessing. Yeah. And you learn over the years, like, imagine, you know, you gotta be lucky to play on good records.
Yeah.
You know, who makes it. So, believe it or not, here I am in Nashville. Dude, Nashville was not anything like it is right now.
Yeah.
I remember like when I got to the airport here, when I landed here, I was like, what is this? I mean, I was so living in New York at that time, you know, with the chaos and the noise and the energy. And this tiny, quiet airport, you know, and here we are, we're going to, tomorrow morning, we're going to do some pre-production because Paul liked to rehearse with the band before we go into the studio. And I walk into the SIR in Nashville the day after, and I see a bunch of guys that I have no idea who they are. Soon enough, I learned those are some of the literally living legends of Nashville. The guitar player was the greatest, Reggie Young.
I had Reggie on my show before he passed, man. And nicest guy in the world, man.
What an amazing person.
Lovely, lovely guy, man.
Yeah, amazing. And what a player.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and so here I am with those guys, Dan Dugmore.
Yeah.
Glenn Wolfe on bass.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, Tony Harrell on keys. I mean, just incredible musicians. And here I am between, you know, this weird guy, Israeli, who lives in New York, you know.
Yeah, you were the odd man out there. But you know what, man? So you're an easy likable guy. I don't know what you were like back then, but you're easy to like.
I appreciate. I was very, very intense back there. I mean, not that it was, you know, but I was younger and more intense. You know?
Yeah, I get it.
And I was nervous, to be honest with you, because I'm sitting behind the drum kit and I look at the music stand and I see the number system for the first time. Oh yeah,
Nashville number system. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, my friend, I won't lie to you. I had no idea it does even exist.
Right.
So I'm joking with them. I'm like, is that how much I'm getting paid for this? You know? And they all laugh.
That's great, man.
So kind of broke the ice there.
Yeah.
and
that's great.
I said, you know, let's just play. I'll follow you guys, you know. And we had a great time. We went into the studio and started recording, and everything went really well. And one of the guys, I gotta say, from that group of people who really start throwing my name around here in Nashville was Glenn Wolfe, the bass player.
Yeah.
And later on, I'm start getting more phone calls. So I'm getting a phone call from Brent Mayer, which is legend Nashville producer. Now Brent, to this day, Brent, he's like family.
Oh, that's cool.
I still work with him, and so Brent is calling me, and then Frank Liddell called me. It wasn't on a monthly basis, but I'm start getting more phone calls from Nashville.
So 4 or 5 times a year you're flying down south.
Yeah, 3 times, 4 times, depends.
Yeah.
You know. And again, Nashville, it's very small. It's very conservative. It's very like, I mean, go out for a meal was you know, a challenge. Like, okay, how many options do we have?
Well, you got to drive.
You got to drive, and also there's not too many restaurants to choose from, especially coming from New York.
Yeah.
So, you know, what's funny about it, I'm going back to New York. Every time I go back to New York, I share my experience with my friends, musicians' friends. And they killing on me. They making all those jokes and like, you know, because come on, we are New Yorkers, you know. It's like,
yeah, we're very
Nashville, you know.
Yeah.
Guess what? You wouldn't believe how many of those guys who made all those jokes moved to Nashville before I did.
Oh, I believe. Because, you know, one thing, though, about the Nashville scene, and I would bet it was this way back then, they are some of the most supportive musicians around. If you work and you work hard and you're good, they will support you. They will refer you to gigs. They were just very nice, very kind people, man.
Yeah, it's a very,
it's a very unique place.
It's the South.
Yeah.
And it was a long time. It took me a few years really to make that decision. And when my wife was pregnant with our second child, then I realized, you know what, man? Okay, time to move. I'm not going to raise my kids in Brooklyn.
I totally get that, man.
And because I honestly, it doesn't matter how much I work and what I do, I cannot give them what I would like to give them, the life I want to give them.
And there's so many, you're exposing them to things that, while in the end, they may make you a better person, stronger, more street smarts. Ideally, you don't want that shit. You want your kids to be kids. They got plenty of time to get smart.
Yes, you want them to be kids, and
you don't want to have them worry about.
To be honest, right? To be honest with you, I was a bit concerned about that because I love the fact of the fact that let's be honest, New York City, it's a place where everybody gets along.
Everybody, yes.
You got to, because and it's really.
And you meet so many cultures, and it's so
many cultures blend together.
Yeah,
you know, white people, black people, yellow people, doesn't matter what you want to call them.
Totally,
you know, and that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, people judge you for your vibe. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. You're not an asshole because you're from Israel or you're a certain color. Yeah, right.
Exactly. You know, look, the ironic part of it all, I always say, look, New York City, right? The latest place, you know, the apartment I had in Park Slope, I used to buy my groceries at the Palestinian stores. They're all Palestinians.
Right. And you probably never gave it a second thought.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
You know, they knew where I'm from. I know who they are, where they're from, and we get along, and I buy my groceries there, you know, and and moving to Nashville, I knew that I'm going to, and by the way, I did an extreme move because when I was talking about it, everybody told me, hey man, no, you got to move to East Nashville. You know, because East Nashville now, it's like the cool place. Now it's the same thing that happened with Williamsburg. If you remember, it's the same idea. And I said, no, you know what? I'm going all the way. I'm not going to move to another place who, you know, I lived in New York long enough. I'm not going to move to a place where it's a, you know, Brooklyn wannabe or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I want space. I want green. I want the best schools for my girls.
Good.
And
man.
I moved to Franklin.
Yeah, that's a great place, man. Really nice. It is a great beautiful place.
And it's a great area and great schools, and the people are great. So yeah, it's been what, 2010, November 2010, we did the move.
Very good, man.
And you know, and I've learned when I moved down here, you know, until then, and this is another factor here that takes time to accept and understand and learn. There is something about Nashville, it's kind of unwritten rule, if you like. So like once you move here and you become part of the community, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who you played with or whatever, you're going to pay your dues.
Yeah.
And it was confusing for a second, to be honest, because until then, people bring you down here
because you're
to play.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. It's kind of
They
like when
bring you.
somebody immigrates from India or the West Indies and they're a doctor, and then here they're like they got to be a maintenance worker because the licenses are not recognized or something. You got to like do over
Yes,
almost. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, it took a minute. It was confusing for a second.
Yeah.
Because in your mind, wait a second, oh, the guy lives in New York, so it feels very special to bring him over here to play on a record. But
now he's in Franklin.
Now you live in Franklin, so no, come and play on a few demos before we'll let you play on a record. You see what I mean?
It's funny. Yeah, it's weird.
But
you're a worker, man. So I'm sure.
But what I did, and this is the tip, because many musicians ask me, musicians who consider to move to Nashville.
Yeah.
There is a system here. There is a culture down here. One thing you don't do, what you don't want to do not try to change the system.
Yeah, man.
And that's something that I adapt to and I accepted. And, you need to treat it. Sorry, man,
Oh, it's okay.
Can you hear me? Somebody tried to call me and I lost you. You didn't lose me.
No. It just goes blank for a second. You're cool, man.
Yeah. So here we are in Nashville. You have your family, and for the first time, I know exactly what time I'm going to start the session.
Oh, yeah.
I know what time I'm going to be home. I know how much I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you got some order into, you know what I mean? You can. And to me, it was a big, big change and a big break, because I just got tired of those 2 a.m., 3 a.m. sessions and just like, that.
You can park your car in your driveway. You don't have to worry about alternate side of the street.
Exactly.
It's a different, once you leave, you do come to, it's adjustment, but it's a lot less stress.
Oh, man, no question about it. No question about it. Having the space like I'm having right now, playing, I don't know what you can see in the background, but
it's a studio, nice studio. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
that's like an apartment, maybe, if you're lucky.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but again, it's been 10 years. Things happen very fast over 10 years. And I really, very grateful. There's some wonderful people down here who really supported me, musicians and stuff like that. Some will not, which is okay as well.
Sure.
And you need to understand where this comes from as well. But it's very different already, and when I mentioned that earlier, when I said, do not try to change the system that include like the schedule that people have been used to for so many years, which works great.
Mm-hmm.
It works great. The fact that there is a music, there is the union down here, musicians union, which is extremely important.
Yeah, pension, all that stuff, man.
All that stuff, and this is the one thing I'm telling all the young guys who are coming down here from different places. Don't try to change it. Don't try to change it because it's going to hurt you eventually.
Is there no union in New York for the musicians?
There is a union in New York, but it lost teeth a long time ago.
Okay.
When it got to a point where people call you for a session in New York, they talking 20 minutes, they're talking about the project, and then 2 hours about budget and how much I can pay or I cannot pay and this and that and this and that. It's exhausting, man.
Yeah. Whereas
you know.
Nashville, you get the session, you know what you're going to make. You start at 10, you finish at 1 or whatever. Yeah, and you're done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and nothing wrong with it. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it.
No, it's very systematized. It's very like I've had a lot of guys on the show that specifically went to play sessions because of that system, because they had order and because they had predictability.
Exactly. A person can approach you and say, you know, I'm doing, this is a master session, this is a demo session, this is a low budget session, everything is very clear.
Yeah.
And guess what? Your mind is clear. You can focus on the music.
Yeah. Which is
This is
most
what
important.
which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know? So far so good. So far so good. I mean, they keep it together, and I hope they will. I mean, I know I am. I'll do everything I can to keep it together. Hopefully, the new kids who are coming down here will do the same. You know.
Hey, you mentioned if you had to pick one of your favorite sessions, tell me your top 3 musical experiences. Could be session, live, whatever you like.
Oh man, top 3 would be tough, man.
Yep.
I feel like, wow, all of them, and there's so many. All of the people we mentioned earlier, I had some amazing moments with them. You know, anywhere from like, remember tracking the first record with Alana Davis, that was like '96. You know, to John Mayer, to of course Genesis and Billy Squier and Cornell. I mean, there is so many great moments. I don't know which one to tell you, my brother.
No,
I
that's
honestly
fine.
don't know.
Fair enough, man. That's a great problem. I'm glad that's your problem to have. That's tough to choose.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe later on it will hit me all of a sudden. But um, there is so many great moments, man, on each and every one of those experiences. You know. I mean, I can tell you in general, playing on a song when you're in the studio and play a song that you know, you're in the middle of the song and you know, oh my God, this is going to be huge.
When did you
You
have that
know,
feeling?
oh, I had this with John Mayer.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. Um, if you want to know one of the recent ones, I had this. Blake Shelton just had a number 1 that went number 1 on all genres. It's called God's Country. I don't know if you've heard that. Check it out. It's a cool tune, actually. God's Country.
Wait, were you touring with him?
No. I
Okay,
was
just
recording. Yeah, I did the last few records with him.
because
But those moments, yeah, I'm
they were
listening.
here not too long ago, and I'm having a brain fart. Bo Tackett
Yeah.
gave us tickets to the show, and it was funny because they had an after party that we got invited to, and Blake was down there playing quarters with some of the people drinking beer. It was funny.
Yeah, he's the coolest dude, man.
He was very easy, man.
He is the coolest guy.
Yeah.
He's such a wonderful guy, you
Yeah.
know. You know, and there is those moments that I'm sure that many musicians can relate to, moments when you work with someone that is still developing and searching for his identity, you know. And I can give you an example. I mentioned this girl, Caroline Jones.
Yeah.
She's so talented and she's so commit. And there's those moments that you guys can just experiment something and, you know, create pre-production or something, work on a new song or something. And these moments or seconds that you sit in front of the artist that you know for quite a while now, and all of a sudden you sense the growth and the maturity, and it's like, oh wow, she's up here now. You know, it's
Yeah.
happening. When you witness that process, it makes me happy. You know, it's those moments that I guess it's like, you know, a bunch of guys who jammed together, throwing notes all over, and in an hour you wrote something amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of similar, you know. So
Does she have a record coming out, or did she release a record, or
we just did new stuff. So she got a new EP coming out. And you
Caroline
should,
Jones?
man, she plays guitar and everything. Yeah, I should put the contact between you two. She would be a good one for you to.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's a serious guitar freak. I mean, she loves guitars. Yeah,
Caroline Jones.
practice. Yeah,
When is
yeah.
that coming out?
Uh, you know what? I'm not sure when are they planning to put it out, but I would say probably in the near, like hopefully next 2, 3, 4 months,
Very cool.
something like that.
Any advice, if you had to go back and give the younger Nir Z advice, if you would have listened, what advice would you have given yourself to make your life easier? Either business, personal, whatever you like.
Hmm. I would say it's tough to do it, I know, but learn how to be a bit more passive, you know,
I feel
because
you on that.
you need to remind yourself that most people that you're gonna end up spending time with in the studio, on stage, on the tour bus, they all coming from interesting journey who led them to be where they are in present time,
Yeah.
who led them to be where you are. And remembering that might help you to deal with different scenarios differently.
Yeah.
Remembering that it's a very, very passionate thing, very emotional thing. You end up many times being in the same room with a lot of people who got a lot going on,
Yeah.
got their own dreams going on, you know, and navigate between all that and be able to be, like I said before, passive about it.
Do you mean passive, or you mean just like, because I think what you're saying is what this is involved is communication. It's
It's
communication. Yeah.
communication, it's important. Communication, it's important. And
But it's a skill set. Unless you have a role model to
mhm.
look at, to say, man, this person, whether it's your mom, dad, or a business, or somebody you meet, or a producer, I see how they communicate, and it really makes sense. That's a hard skill to learn on your
It's a
own.
big, oh my God, it's a very hard, I mean,
Yeah.
especially, you know, and the reason I'm very careful with that is because it took me many, many years to realize that part of the challenge for me anyway was the culture differences.
Yeah. And coming from the South, New York to Nashville.
Coming from Israel to New York, New York to Nashville,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you could tell someone in the studio, you could tell someone in New York, hey man, fuck off, leave me alone. Not and they won't think anything of
You
it.
just gave it. You gave the perfect example.
Yes, you cannot say that in
You
Nashville.
cannot say that. And I was
Right.
trying to, in
Yeah.
more than one scenarios here, trying to explain.
I
I'm
totally get.
trying to recall
Yeah.
situations and scenarios in New York, okay, that happened in New York, and over here, there is no way
Yeah.
it will go through smoothly.
Yes. Right. Yes.
It's just the nature of the beast. It's a culture differences. Now,
Yes.
New York culture is much closer to the Israeli culture,
Yes.
okay, than the South culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took me forever to learn that someone over here can tell you what, bless your heart, can be either a compliment
Yeah.
or
Right.
basically can be
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah. I know.
No, dude, why don't you just say fuck you or fuck
I
off?
know. I know. Right. 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 Don't. Right. What I always say is, don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining out. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
So
I
all that
totally
stuff,
get that. Yeah. It takes a while.
all
I
that
had it. Yeah. The same thing when I moved here. I totally get
uh,
that, man.
I'm sure you get it, and but you cannot change it. I'm not
No.
trying to change it.
No. 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 You just got to learn.
You got to learn, and some people will give you a second chance, some won't.
Mm.
It's like,
And there are some things that's better about that. And there's, I don't think there's a right or wrong, because
no,
I think there's a lot less stress when you don't tell someone go fuck off, and you just say, like I wouldn't say bless my heart, but I would say, hey man, no. It's something like, I think there's a lot less stress in that for you. So there's a lot of benefits to it in many ways.
there is, and like I said before, it takes time to, you know, it takes time to learn. I always said, I remember once sitting with a guy here that is extremely successful, one of the most successful guys in this town. And he looked at me and he said to me, man, treat it as business. It's only business.
That's great advice.
Uh, it is, but is your heart there? Can you really, you know what I mean?
Well, it's tough because your business is you aren't successful unless you're passionate in your business. Like you said, you go in and you see somebody playing, like, are you dead? Why aren't, where, you can, when you played that night, if that was not business.
No, that's not business.
When I heard you, that was like raw emotion. You were killing it, and you're not going to do that and translate that energy to a listener in the audience. That is fucking energy that you're giving off, and that's intensity, and it's beautiful, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's been my goal, and that's probably will be my goal until the day I die, man. That's what I do in the studio.
But that's who you are too. You're not
I mean, you need to accept who you are.
Yeah.
And hopefully hope that the people around you will accept who you are and take you for your talent and your music.
Yeah.
And now if this is who you are and you accept that, and you willing to stick with it, be prepared. And this is for the young musicians too,
yeah.
Be prepared that not everybody always want to, or not everybody always will accept that.
Yes.
Because for some people, they rather have someone who is maybe not as good, not as passionate. They can navigate him to do what is it they need him to do for this particular, he become an instrument operator.
Yep.
I call it, either a drum operator or a keyboard operator.
It's a great way to put it.
But it's a comfortable hang, and and we're gonna get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's it, And to me, this is why, I've said it in an interview before, when we did a Modern Drummer magazine interview, it's like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I answer like, you know, I don't see myself as like the ultimate session guy. You know, yeah, I believe that I can play almost anything. If I can relate to the music, I can play it.
Sure.
Um,
Hold on a minute, but man, Pat, before you say that, give yourself a pat on the back. 2018, 2019 Music Row Drummer of the Year. You might be a little hard on yourself because you don't get that for playing on that many hit records. You know what I'm saying? You got to be like pretty close to the ultimate session drummer.
Yeah, but again, I see the way things going down here, and I don't know. I guess it's my defense mechanism of not let myself get comfortable.
Of course,
because it's not about that. You know.
Yeah, because I understand. Yeah, I totally. You're thinking, well, now it's 2020. That has nothing to do. I totally get it, man. You're hungry.
Exactly.
The hunger hasn't changed. Just because you got this doesn't mean you're less hungry.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, you don't stop dreaming.
Totally get it.
You can't stop. Without the dream, there is no meaning for it at all. You know.
Yeah, man.
And the passion and you know, to just want to play music and be creative. And I get it. It's there is so many. How would I say that? There is so many conflicts, if you like, because you get it that there is a system also. There is musical system going on. And when you know it, when something takes off and something becomes very successful, the majority will ride that genre, fashion, whatever you want to call it. They will ride on it as long as they can.
Absolutely.
Because we are dealing here, especially in the commercial world, we're dealing with its business. You know,
of course,
it's like I've heard a major producer over here said once. He said, you know, the record label gave me $1 to make this record, so I can make them $4 back and $5 back.
Right.
You know, and it's always a fine line. It's a constant fine line. It's like, you know, between the reality of this pretty crazy business, music business. Think about it. The combination of the words, music, art, freedom, love, happiness, feelings, and then there's business, freaking business. I'm not a businessman.
Right.
You know, so
yet you have to exist and be successful in the music business.
In the music business,
yeah.
You know, it's a very interesting. You know, we treated everybody throw those two words together all day long. The music business, dude, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it's awkward. You know, so yeah, I guess it's the desire, the desire to explore and come up with something new all the time. You know, not just because it worked for someone else or worked for a different production we did before, and therefore we're going to do the same thing because we know it's going to be successful.
Yeah, the formula.
We know we know they're going to play it on the radio.
Yeah.
So matter of fact, I'm learning more and more, to be honest with you, since I got more involved with my friend, with Caroline, I learned more and more about the radio requirements, you know, with what kind of ingredients they want you to have in the songs and what kind of instrumentations and how do you approach. It's amazing.
Top 3 desert island discs for you.
Records I'll take with me to.
Yes.
Man.
Do you remember Tower Music? They used to have that free magazine, and they always had the desert island discs. And people
don't you miss that?
Yeah, I used to love that store on Broadway and Fourth. Man, that was the
Damn,
best.
you giving me
I
like
know.
a goosebump.
I know, me too. That was and then I know.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Remembering related to that, when we were young and we hear the older guys saying back in the day it was so
Yeah,
good.
now we're the old guys.
Now we get it. Now we know what they're talking about. You know? Now we know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Man, do you know, again, this is like, if I'll be on an island, music that will make me, okay, I'll take Keith Jarrett.
Oh, okay.
I know it might be surprised.
Yeah.
That's from 1974. It's called My Song.
Okay.
I'll have a collection,
A box set.
as a box set of all Bob Marley stuff.
Wow, I didn't expect either of these.
I know. I have a
This is
whole other
interesting.
history before Nashville.
Yeah.
I know.
This is interesting.
I'll have oh man, I'll take a box set. I'll create a box set of all the Motown to all the best funk music ever created.
Yeah.
You know, if I can mix them all. I don't know if it's fair to, I'm sorry, I was supposed to give you just records or CDs, but
No, that's cool. Box set of funk and Motown. That's fair.
oh yeah.
I get
Oh yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. And then I would probably make another, if I can squeeze one more, would be a box set of some old school world music, Middle Eastern music, classic stuff.
Very
Because
cool.
that's another part of me that probably will happen eventually.
World
What I
music
call
stuff.
world music. Oh, 100%.
You ever see these guys? I don't know where in Africa where they're from, but they're playing some sort of African music like on an SG, just on regular guitars. Holy crap. They're somewhere
Who are they? I would love to know about them.
Oh my God. I'll look it up and send you an email. They're
Send me an
like
email, bro.
Bedouins in the desert, basically, but they have these little,
Really?
yeah, and it's like very cool music, man. I'll look it up and I'll tell you, it's amazing stuff. I mean,
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah, you see, those are the things that inspire me so much. Stuff like that I'm just, you know, it's like there is a band from Spain. I don't know if you ever into this stuff. I'm a flamenco freak, by the way. I love flamenco
Cool,
music.
man. Check
I
out this
love the
guy,
rhythms.
Diego Garcia.
Diego Garcia. Why do I know the name?
I had him on my show. He is incredible. He's one of the greatest guitarists I've ever met. He's a guy from Spain, played in conservatory when he was like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like two sides to him. One is a flamenco classical, but the other side is he does like surf music.
Oh, wow.
And I've never heard anybody play clearer notes in my life. His playing is, he goes by.
I'm sure if you would ask him, he will know this band very well because they're huge in Spain. Ujos de Brujos.
Ujos de Brujos?
Brujos. Yeah, I can send you a link.
Yeah.
It's man, where do I start? I mean, there's this bunch of guys that each and every one of them is a phenomenal musician. That's it. Each and every one of them is his own instrument. It's as good as it gets.
And they play flamenco? What do they play?
I mean, it's like flamenco / funk music / they have a DJ in the music.
Wow. You know what, man?
Yeah, it's a mix that you gotta hear. It's pretty fascinating.
Ujos de Brujos. I'm gonna check them out because I have a few contacts in Spain now, and I guarantee I can get hooked up with them. Have them on my show.
Oh man, that would be amazing. I will definitely.
And I will send you the link if I have them on the show. So don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Tough question. What do you like most about yourself?
God. Are you kidding me?
I had to slow down the train for a minute here, man.
I don't know more about myself, you know. I'll tell you what my mother used to say when I was a young kid. If any of a family member will look at me, as a young kid, he'd say, "Oh, he's such a good kid." And my mom would say, "Oh, yeah, he's the greatest kid when he's asleep." you know. Um, um, what do I like about myself? That doesn't matter what. If we're talking, I guess we're in the music environment, so
talk whatever you want, man. Personal
yeah,
music.
but related to the music, doesn't matter what. Once I said yes, and once I'm in the studio with you, on stage with you, or once I'm in it, doesn't matter what, you'll get 110% from me. I treat it as my own gig, as my own first opportunity, and that's a blessing and a curse, by the way.
Yeah. Where did you get that work ethic from? Because I got a funny feeling you always had it, based on what you said.
I always had it, and I think that's coming from my father.
What did he do? What did you
He's old school, just old school Israeli guy from Jerusalem. He's in the trucks business, he's in a very like those manly, not now because he's older now, but a man gotta wake up every morning,
yeah,
and go to work, and and be the best at what he does, and give it everything. And I think that's probably where it comes from, along with my love and passion for music. I love the environment. I love the process, and there is no in between. I'm very extreme. It's all or nothing.
It's all or nothing.
For good or bad, I guess.
No, I like that. I'm attracted to that. I think that's great, man. Because you got consistency there, and you don't have to deal about flaky bullshit.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of those. Yeah.
Yeah, but not when you're with that kind of person. That's not an issue. It's
it's not an issue. The issue is when you're in a situation when they're involved people like yourself who want to go all the way and do it the best they can, along with people who are not.
Yeah.
This is where the conflict is.
Who's had the biggest influence on you musically and then personally?
There's few, really. My very first drum teacher back in Israel, very unique persona, very free spirit. He never really just told me drums. He told me music. He told me life.
Oh, he's like a mentor, sort of.
It's like a mentor.
That's nice.
Way. Yes. His name is Shaul Shoval. He's in his mid-70s now. He lives somewhere in the desert in Israel, kind of away from all the, definitely my parents. I mean, for, like I said, but it's all for good and bad.
Sure.
Really, those are the two things comes to my mind right now.
Sure, man. Biggest business win and biggest personal win?
Business win. I don't know if you're familiar with, and this is business per se, which is, do you remember when they start creating those virtual instruments? Have you ever used Easy Drummer or any of those?
No, but I'm familiar with them.
A company named Toontrack, Superior Drummer.
I don't know the company names in the drum stuff. I may know a little bit in the guitar. But
It's like, you know, it's similar. Toontrack, they created this thing called Easy Drummer, which was a light version of a virtual drum kit
Mhm.
of the Superior Drummer, which was the full version of the software. And I was the one who sampled those sounds for them.
Really?
Yeah, so it's all my drums, my hits, all the New York City studios, along with the greatest producer engineer, Neil Dorsman.
Holy crap.
And
Is that product still sold?
This product still sold, and this product really did well.
That's great,
and,
man.
And this is a business decision that until the last minute at the time, Neil and myself didn't want to do it because we felt like we're about to sell our soul to the devil here.
Yeah.
And then Neil said to me one thing I remember. He said, you know, bro, let's be honest with ourselves. If you and I are not doing it, somebody else
else is going to do it. Absolutely. Might as well be you getting
By
the
the way,
check.
yeah, that was a business win, you know.
That's
it's not like
great.
we became millionaires, but definitely helped. And what happened over the years that because people were so familiar with the software, people use it all over the world, literally all over the world. And I also made a lot of those MIDI grooves for them, you know.
Cool.
So when you get the software, you get a lot of MIDI grooves. Back in New York, I remember sitting with, you know, like the Roland drum kit, the electronic kit, and basically playing grooves and feels. And so when you get the software, you get a lot of my performances. So you can just drag it into your session and use it to write songs or produce songs. Or
that's really cool.
You know, what's funny that until the last record, which I played on for Florida Georgia Line,
right,
the previous records, it's all Superior Drummer.
Get out. So they have the software.
The software with my MIDI stuff and my samples that the producer used. Joey Moy is the producer. And on the last record, I actually got to play.
That's crazy, man.
So it was kind of virtual me in the past, and then I got to actually
play
real drums on the record. Yeah, so it's interesting. You know, it's again, for me, it was business, and then it led me to do some more stuff with other companies. I mean, the latest thing I did is with Steven Slate. Are you familiar with Slate Digital?
No.
Are you familiar with all the plugins we have for recording?
Yeah,
all their
totally.
So there is Waves plugins. There is Slate Digital. So that's the latest one I did, along with my friend, great mix engineer named Jeff Giuliano. And we did it actually quite a while ago, and that's supposed to come out in the next few months, I hope.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's one of those, again, those.
So is that licensing? That's basically licensing.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Oh, great.
Yeah. You know, those are the things that, again, it's kind of separate than music, really. It's more technical than music, but
you got to have plan B to be a musician in today's day and age. You got to have multiple streams.
You got to have plan C and D. Even.
Absolutely, man. No, you're 100% right. You got to have your hands in everything.
Because, you know, there is one thing that I always say, and some people not aware of it, I think, that I see, and thank God I'm good and I'm active, but in some scenarios you see people tend to replace the older guys with younger guys and stuff like that. And to me, it's like, dude, you're bringing this young guy into the camp when you lose that guy that this is his prime.
Right.
You know, this is where you should work with this person.
Yes.
You know, when have all this experience and all this goodies and knowledge, and it's an interesting thing, you know. It's an interesting process.
Yeah.
But you gotta stay relevant. You gotta practice. You gotta be better all the time. You gotta be aware of the music that's going on out there. Being a
Yeah.
session musician, some guys were surprised, but believe it or not, man, every time I do a bit of a cleanup in my studio, kind of arranging stuff, man, I go on iTunes, top 40s.
Yeah, I think that's very important if you're a session
And
player, man.
I'm playing stuff in the background. Honestly, either I like it or I don't. Some of them I have no freaking idea how come this song became number 2 on the chart. Okay, because it's shit. But you know
gotta
what?
be aware of it because you're going into play.
I gotta be aware of it. Exactly, because I know that some young producer next week going to use it as a reference for something.
Absolutely. That's a really important.
It's like an exercise that you do. You know, it's an exercise that you do. You know, in my case, playing such a physical instrument, you know, sometimes you want to sit down and practice and get the engine going. I might even play those top 40s in the background, put the headphones on, and just practice alone on top of those songs.
You seem pretty fit. Do you stay in shape, like outside of drumming?
Drumming, buddy.
Yeah. Okay.
Drumming. I mean, thank God, just drumming.
Yeah.
I should go back and do something with myself, but it's
no,
like,
I mean, you could say that you do because you look fit, man. So nobody would know.
Bro,
if you said, yeah, I work out usually like 3 times a week, I wouldn't have said a thing.
Really? I mean,
yeah, well, you're fit. You know.
I mean, it's really the drumming, buddy.
Yeah, that's great.
And music keep us young, you know. And man, what else? Yeah. Oh, the personal win, you said. Business win and personal win? What did you ask me?
Yeah, that's right.
Man, I guess it's my dear wife and my beautiful kids, you know. God bless her for real, because she's been through a lot with me, and every musician's wife probably, or musician's husband, will tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a freaking journey of so many bumpers and so many great moments and big, you know, and dark moments and
lots of highs, lots of lows.
Lots of highs, lots of lows, and the biggest challenge is to appreciate the lows as well.
Do you have any hobbies? Nir, sorry, I apologize. Go ahead. Do you want to?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I mean,
outside of
all
music,
my hobbies. I love watching, and actually we just find out my wife got tickets. Alvin Ailey are coming down to Nashville.
Dance!
I love dancing performances. Love it. I don't know if it's an hobby, but I guess it's an hobby. It's just something that I love. But I guess it has to do with the music, because it does inspire me. It has to do with rhythm and music and stuff like that. You know, other hobbies I just don't do them. You know, I wish I would have done them. You know, playing racquetball, I love that. Swimming, fishing, but none of the above is actually active right now in my life, and maybe it's time to do so.
Dude, I'll come to Nashville. We'll go some bass fishing. That's the most relaxing thing in the world.
Let's do it, man. Anytime. Anytime. When are you coming back to Nashville, you know?
I may come for NAMM.
Bring it on.
Yeah, man. That would be good.
Bring it on. Yeah. This time maybe I'll try to arrange something with Larry that is more
that whatever you did was perfect, man. That was
I mean,
that was.
I love Larry, and I know Larry for you. What a sweet man.
Yeah, really nice guy.
Really nice guy.
2 more questions, Nir, and I thank you so much for all your time. Toughest decision that you've had to make or most difficult thing you've had to do?
In general,
Yeah.
toughest decision was leaving New York.
Yeah.
And I would say just because I just knew it, that once I do that, I will never go back.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be a very, very rare,
Man,
especially
you gotta
with,
hit the lottery to go back. I mean,
oh, you
seriously.
got to, especially with the family. I don't know. I knew that once we moving to Nashville, from 800 square foot apartment to almost 3,000 square foot house,
Yeah.
having the kids living comfortable life and surrounded by green and more relaxed atmosphere, I will not go back.
No.
And it was a tough decision for me personally,
Sure.
because I love New York so much,
Yeah. I totally
and
get
I
it.
miss it still. I miss it very much.
Have you taken your girls back up there?
We did.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
we did. Yeah, we did. And of course, my teenagers, like, how could you leave this place,
Well, they're not paying the bill at the end of the trip.
Yeah, I said, one day you'll understand.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and then you asked me what was the second one. I'm sorry,
It
brother.
was toughest decision you had to make or hardest thing you had to do?
The toughest thing I had to do. Man, what's the toughest thing I had to do? We went through. In what way? I mean,
Well, no,
I
it was one question. It was toughest decision you
oh,
had to
yeah,
make
yeah, yeah.
or
Okay.
most. Yeah. Leaving New York. That's a great answer. And the
Yeah.
last question, man, is what's been the biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years? And how much of that change has been intentional and how much is just a natural part of aging?
It's a combination. It's a combination, part of it is accept who you are, especially living here in Nashville, and understand and realize that most likely you will have to be the one that adapt, and don't expect the world to adapt to you. Okay, so this has been a process, and still, I guess it's pretty much probably endless process, and I believe related to some things we spoke about earlier,
Sure.
because it's just the reality, this is the reality. I mean, you can talk about your background, you can share your life with other people, but at the end of the day, in present time, nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. You
Yeah.
gotta, when you go into the session, you're gonna work in the studio, and you're going to, you need to adapt, because you here in this very particular place with this very particular people, and you chose to be here. So you gotta find your way
Yeah.
to blend in and become part,
Well, dude, count me on your list of friends. If there's anything I could do to help you, please let me
Oh,
know.
boy, you're awesome. You're awesome. Definitely need to get the website up and
Feelings
running.
mutual. Hey, listen, first of all, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I would encourage anybody that has any chance to see Nir Z play. He's a phenomenal drummer. I mean, it's really fun watching him play. And you're really serious, man, when you're behind the drum kit. I mean, you're like, when you said you're into that thing, man, there's no dicking
I
around.
love that thing. I
Yeah.
love that thing. It's like, I always said, you play your instrument, you need to become one, you become.
Yeah. Well, that's
It's
how
gonna
you.
become part of you.
Well, that was the vibe you put out, man. It was great seeing you play.
Thank you so much.
No, I mean it. Also, okay, a couple of things that Nir's got going on. Caroline Jones is an up and coming artist that he has been working with, and her EP will be coming out sometime this year. So pay attention to that. Let's say in the next month or two when this comes out, hopefully Nir Z will have a website. So search for Nir Z Drummer. Also, if you are interested, okay, also he's on social media, Nir Z Music. It's Nir, Nirz, the letter Z Music. He's on Instagram and Facebook under Nir Z Music. And if you are interested in working with Nir for either tracks or production, or you're interested in hiring him to do any kind of recording like the MIDI stuff he did for you, send him an email. You could send it to NirZ, Nirz @mac.com. Please be specific in what you're looking for. That's not like a mail for fans, or, you know, just be respectful of his time, obviously, which most people are. And I'm very grateful that they are. So thank you, everybody listening, for doing that. And that's it. Anything I missed?
No, but it was a great conversation. I hope so. I think so.
Likewise. No, of course, man. It's very cool. Hang on one second. Let me wrap this up. Everybody, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels with your friends. Please support Nir Z when you see him playing out. Are you going on tour? Anything planned?
No, not right now, but who knows? You know, I'm looking to put something together, at least to start playing some more gigs around town. Pretty much like what I did with Larry the other night.
That was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Go play some music, play music for the sake of music. I need it, and I think more people out there need it.
Yeah,
you know?
It was great. It was a nice. I was shocked. That was a nice little venue. The sound was fantastic there.
I know. I was very, very surprised.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah. Great room.
Really cool. Well, that was at the Hutton. That's so cool. If you see Nir, go to his Instagram page, because if he's playing out around town, or his Facebook at Nir Z Music. If he's playing out, I'm sure he'll post it on there. And that's it. Most important, don't forget that happiness is a choice. So choose wisely. Be nice. Go play your guitar or your drums, or just play music and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Bro, thank you for everything, man.
My pleasure, brother. Thank you so much.